Hey guys, this is Salamander Anagram with ReaktorTutorials.com, and I'm here today with a new MIDI device called Hot Hand from Source Audio. And as you just saw, Hot Hand is a ring. You can put it on your finger, and it tracks the movement of your hand and translates it into MIDI data. The MIDI data arrives at your computer as control change values, which can easily be mapped to any knob in Reaktor or pretty much any other software. But in Reaktor, you could use the Connect tab of properties to set a knob to accept control change values. And you can do some pretty powerful stuff with that, don't get me wrong, but I just think that this piece of gear opens up a lot more possibilities than that, and it's kind of wasted on just merely controlling some knobs in a program. So I whipped up this little ensemble that's fairly simple, and I'm going to show you how to edit it in just a moment. But the basic idea is we have 4 effects that can be triggered by tilting your hand in different directions, and depending on how far your hand is tilting in that direction, we can also control one parameter within each of those effects. So I've split each incoming MIDI CC value into 3 parts, up, down, and center. And whenever your hand is lying flat, center is active, which turns off all effects and simply passes the audio through the ensemble. By tilting your hand up, down, left, or right, we can turn on the corresponding effect, and depending on how far our hand tilts, we're going to get a value out of our macro that ranges from 0 to 1. So let's take a look at those. Each macro has 4 outputs, and the up and down values are telling us whether or not the effects are on, and then the value outputs are a value from 0 to 1 that we can use to control any parameter within that effect. First, let's take a look at how the effects are structured, and then I'll show you how we can very easily modify one to replace the stutter with a reverb. So to begin with, each effect receives our 2 audio inputs, an on value that determines whether or not the effect is active, and a value that we can use to control a parameter within the effect engine. So our on input controls a envelope that controls a crossfader. So whenever the on value is set to 0, the envelope is off, and we're simply taking the left and right audio inputs and sending them to the output of the macro. When the envelope is on, then we're getting our audio from our audio effect. And finally, we do a little bit of processing to our value input as well. The invert macro allows you to change the direction, so instead of ranging from 0 to 1, it will range from 1 to 0, for example. And then the translate macro allows you to change the value. So again, we're starting with a 0 to 1 value, but what if we want the parameter to range from 30 to 100? So you could set a minimum value of 30, a range value of 70, and the step input is the size of the steps. So if you wanted each step to be, if you wanted to only allow whole numbers, for example, you could have a step size of 1. So if you want to replace one of the effects in this ensemble, it's pretty much as easy as replacing the effect macro itself and editing the inputs to the translate knob, and you're pretty much done. So I'm going to load up a reverb effect from the factory library, microspace here, and it'll receive the left and right audio inputs and send them to the appropriate inputs of the crossfader. Now all we need to do is line our incoming value in and replace a knob with it. So our value is from 0 to 1, and I'm actually just going to use it to control the mix knob of the reverb. So it'll control the depth of the reverb, which is also a value from 0 to 1. So you can actually get rid of the translate macro here altogether, or you can set it up to have a minimum value of 0 and a range of 1 with no step size, and that'll work as well. We can wire our value directly into the microspace macro, and then jump inside and replace our new value input, replace the mix knob with our new value input. So simple enough. You can delete the knob now, and everything should work just fine. So now when we tilt our hand to the right, we're going to turn on the reverb, and depending how far to the right it's turned will be the depth of the reverb effect. So once I'm done rearranging everything here, I'll show you a quick sample of how that works. Alright, so this is a really cool piece of gear, and I think the more you kind of get creative with it and get outside of the box with it, the more interesting things can get. So I'll upload this ensemble to the Reaktor user library. You can use the steps I showed you in this video to replace the effects with any effects you like. And before we go, I just want to show you one more little tech demo of this device. And this one is why I originally wanted to get my hands on the Hot Hand in the first place. So this is an edited copy of Circle Scratch that allows you to use your hands to control the scratching of your audio loop. Enjoy. Alright, once again, this is Salamander Anagram with ReaktorTutorials.com. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it and making the ensembles for it. Once again, I'll upload them to the Reaktor user library so you can check them out. And I'll be back next week with another Reaktor tutorial.